Hello, my friends. Welcome to Soulpreneur Scaling Stories. I am so excited to have Becca Hoover here today, who is a business coach and social media strategist for moms. Hey, Becca, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yay, I'm super excited for you to share your journey growing from VA to coach and strategist. So, before we get into all of that, please introduce us and let us know what your business looks like today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Becca. I am the owner of Rebecca Elizabeth LLC. I started my business back in 2021. Like a lot of people that can probably relate, that was right after what happened in 2020. And I was a teacher at the time, and I was looking for a way to stay home. With my one baby at the time. So I started as a general virtual assistant. I was doing that part-time while I was still working as a teacher. And after a year in 2022, when I went on maternity leave with my second baby, I decided I'm not going back to teaching. I scaled that business, was able to book out my services and replace my teaching income. So it was a no-brainer. So I was a virtual assistant for that next year. And then last year around this time, I niched again, lots of pivots in my business, went into social media management full time. And then I added in coaching a few months later. So it's been about a year having the coaching side of my business. I do still have the done for you side, but the coaching services are starting to be what I'm very, very passionate about. And it's just a lot of fun. So that's kind of like all the different pivots and where I'm at right now.
Amazing. What is your coaching focused on?
So my coaching is focused on helping early mom entrepreneurs. So about your first year or two in business, helping you scale your business through social media.
Very nice. Okay, so I have lots of things that I want to ask and dive into. So,
Okay.
we're going to get deep on this because I like to uncover the things. The first thing however, that I want to highlight is the fact that, so you do a similar thing that I do, and this is still having some done for you and coaching alongside that. And I'm curious from your perspective, how this fits together, how you make space for each side of your business, if kind of like what your plans are for that, but we will start on that end. And I'm asking this because a lot of people think like, oh, I have to do one thing or the other, or it's really difficult. And yes, it takes some putting puzzle pieces together, but I don't know, like I am super multi-passionate, so I enjoy having, multiple sides of my business. And I think it also helps me to be a better coach because I'm not removed, right? Like not removed from all of the done for you day to day. Like I know what's going on. I know it's happening in the industry now. So I will be quiet now and let you answer and say and give your opinion on this and having these two sides of your business running at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think because I help moms scale on social media, it just makes sense for me to stay with the done for you side. I'm already helping other business owners. Most of my SMM clients are 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs. So I'm already helping them in the day to day scaling their business. So it kind of goes hand in hand for me. Now I do have to, this is a day to day struggle of making sure that my time management is on point. I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point. But it just makes sense. It all fits together right now. I really enjoy both sides of the done for you and the coaching. But it looks a little different since my done for you side is 6 and 7 figure, very established entrepreneurs, whereas my coaching side is beginning entrepreneurs. So it's a lot of fun. I like to say to my coaching clients, like, I'm in the quote unquote trenches with you still, because so I think that is a little bit of relatability there too.
Right. And you can help them, because you know what's going on and you are working with these higher levels. So the same with me. So I'm a certified OBM and I do things with 6 and 7 figure business owners on my done for you side, and then doing the business management things, and then coaching. It's growing to like helping people grow, and they're not quite at that level. So for you, are you marketing everything under one umbrella? Like so I know this is a big question. I can also let people know what I do, but on your side, what do you do in terms of your marketing? So coaching, social media, two different audiences. How are you managing that?
Yeah. So right now, my coaching is through Instagram, and that works really well. I still here and there occasionally, mainly through like stories, will mention my done for you every now and then. But my done for you side, that is strictly right now through referrals or my website, or some like in person networking, and also random, but the platform LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, try it out.
I think, yeah, so this is a great point. And we're on the same page, girl. This is what I do as well. So it really is, and especially, and you're the marketer here. So for me at the beginning, it was really hard to figure out, how do I market these two things? How do I separate, like, what do I do? Can I put them all together? I don't want to be, double my social media work or something like this. And it took me a minute to figure out exactly how I was going to market each thing. And I do something similar. So my Instagram is coaching, to the email list, all of these things. And like a lot of social media presence on coaching, this podcast, obviously. And then the done for you side is mostly through some in like the directory for the certified OBMs, or they give us, RFPs, requests for proposals, or referrals, or things like this. And there's not so much focus and on talks and doing podcast interviews related to that. So it really is two separate buckets. And I have my email list segregated for segmented. That's the right word, segmented for these two audiences. So it is, two different foci, and, but they're so clearly different that it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just doing double the things, because the strategy is different amongst them. So do you feel
Right.
a similar way?
Yeah, I mean, transparently, there's still some days where I'm like, I go back and forth. I'm like, should I split them up on Instagram? Or, that's a mindset thing I have to work through too. But I think it works right now. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
It works for me right now.
Yeah. And it must feel, at least for me, when I was like, okay, like this is what I'm going to do. And it felt good. Like, okay, I have a plan. So it's the planning and the time blocking for me that is key. And I do my sales things first, like my coaching. Okay, I have to show up, do this, like that happens first. And then I do my client work, because the brain power that I need is different for each things, because I can't do like my creativity things in the nighttime when I'm exhausted. So, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I completely relate to that. When I tried to just do like evenings, I realized like, oh, that needs to be the tasks that just don't require a lot of brain power. Yeah, because you're just exhausted at the end of the day.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I'm finding this interesting. Like I had talking to the person who does these two very similar things, and how it's two different sides of your brain. And it really is just a lot of sort of like trial and error. And okay, what are the strategies that work for me? And for me, I have things in my calendar very specific, like Mondays, I write my weekly newsletter. Like there are things that I do on specific days, and it's very time blocked, but that is my thing. That's what works for like precisely for me, with all my systems and things like this to back it up. And this is how it becomes not so overwhelming to be able to run two different businesses essentially simultaneously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, in my calendar, like I know Mondays are like my CEO day where I can, time block. But then I have specific days where it's solely focusing on my done for you clients and then my coaching clients. So yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So for you guys listening, if you're like, oh, I want to go down, kind of do these two very different pathways, and I'm nervous that it's going to be a lot, I'm not going to be able to do it. It's double the work. It's really not, as long as you do exactly that, right? And I have specific days as well. I have like my Mondays and Fridays are for me. I don't do calls on these days. Tuesdays I do, so it's very planned. And as long as you have a plan and a system, you can tweak it and play with it, but it makes it so much easier. Okay, so let's get into some of your actual story with some of these pivots, because it's my favorite thing. So when you were general VA, please share the story of transitioning and pivoting from VA to social media strategist.
Okay, so this just made sense to me because I was a general VA, overbooked. But when I was looking at the tasks that I was doing for all of my clients, it was all like social media management. And I was really enjoying it. So it just made sense to me. I'm like, okay, I need to just call myself what I am. I'm good at what I do. So that made sense to me, just pivoting into social media completely. So that didn't take very long to make that pivot, just to change, the title of my name, raise my rates a little bit. And most of my clients stayed on with me because they realized it too. They were like, oh yeah, you're not really a general VA anymore. You're running my social media. So that did make sense. So that was that first pivot, social media.
Cool. So a couple of things on that. Did you also do any additional training, or this was all like on the ground, like boots on the ground? Okay, like I'm now stepping in and claiming this space.
Most of it was just figuring out on my own, but I did take a course through Rachel Peterson, the social media strategist. She had a couple different trainings and things, so I learned some things through that. But then also just being on the platform Instagram, there's tons of people out there. It's so much free education. I know a lot of us look at social media as a social platform, but it could be very educational, learning from everybody. So
yeah,
that's also where I learned some things.
And I'm wondering if there was a period of really just stepping in and claiming, this is what I am now. This is who I am. I'm no longer a general VA. Now I'm a social media manager, strategist, whatever you claimed at the time. Was there an element of that underneath it, of this building up of the confidence?
The confidence came from the fact not only was I doing all my clients' social medias and they were getting results, but also I was starting to market on my Instagram and people were coming to me asking questions about social media. So that definitely boosts your confidence when people start looking at you as the authority and you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing. I am now the authority.
You're like, oh, okay, I guess so. I guess this is where it's at.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a big piece of it as well when you're pivoting, is really stepping into and claiming like, okay, this is who I am now. This is what I do. And it can be uncomfortable at first. And I love that you were like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then the confidence grew from people, coming to you and asking you questions. And you didn't stop yourself from really moving into that space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were doing this while you had very little babies at home.
Yes, I have two toddlers now. They keep me busy. We are a homeschool family as well. So,
all right.
Yes.
So for all the moms,
here we go.
I'm a fur dog mom, but there's no human children here. So tell the people with the children or who want to have children, share your secrets. How did you, and your children don't go anywhere. They're home all day. How, at the beginning, how was it? How did you figure out how to manage your time?
Okay, so in the beginning, so we're talking 2022 was when I left the classroom, was overbooked as a VA. I had a newborn and a toddler. I did send my toddler at the time. She went to like a part-time preschool. That was helpful. Looking back, I don't know if I don't know if my business would still be standing if I didn't have that little bit of a relief. I still had a newborn at home, but some of the mamas listening to this might, newborn, she was a pretty good newborn, but she slept a lot. So I was able to kind of time block, figure out like the nap schedule and work that way. But then it's also just realizing when you do need help, asking for help. I have a supportive partner. He was able to, pick up the slack when I just, I'm overbooked in business. I have two kids. Like, you got to cook.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So he was doing some of the household things, or just really pitching in more in order to support you in your business. So that way there was a bit of space there.
Yes. And that's still like that to this day. We had to have a sit down talk, and, our goals were that we wanted to be a homeschool family. But I still needed to bring in an income. And so we really had to sit and talk about what that looks like. I won't say every day is, rainbow and butterflies and it's perfect, but I think that's the biggest thing, not just with moms, but I think women in general. Sometimes we just feel like we have to do it all and we don't want to ask for help. But that is one of the biggest things I've learned in my business journey is I was so used to my whole life just not asking for help, figuring it out, doing it on my own. But when you're running a business or two businesses and you're trying to, juggle everything, sometimes that can lead to burnout. And so asking for help and not being ashamed of that, there's nothing to be ashamed with asking for help, getting more support, whether that's from a partner or other family or friends. We don't live near family, so we've had to rely sometimes on friends. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
So you really leaned into okay, like, let's figure this out. Like, this is going to happen, and we're just gonna, yeah, we have to basically involve others in order to really survive and just make this happen. I'm curious now, with the homeschooling and all of, well, your children are still very young, but with all of this in their home, how do you, like, if you have specific examples, I think that would be cool too for people listening, how you balance it.
So I'm at a good place in my business right now where my mornings can be free and dedicated to my kids. So I know that, like, besides maybe a Voxer or Slack or checking an email here and there in the mornings, I can dedicate that time to my kids. Then I know that the afternoon is solely focused on my business. My husband has a job where he's able to be home like the earlier afternoon time, so then he can take over. But we're also at a point too where, like I said, when you're asking people for help, we can ask some family members to come into town, help. I do have scheduled at least 2 times a month where I ask my mother-in-law, I say, come on into town. And she comes for a few days and I crank out some work, and that just works for us. But I feel like it's a win-win for everybody. They get time with someone other than mom, right? And I get to really grow my business. And yeah, just the mindset and everything is much better when I know, like, okay, I don't have to do it all. I have help.
And I think also and I don't know if this was purposeful or if it just happened to coincide really well, that the niche that you are in, social media management, doesn't require you to, be with your clients at certain times every day, or do this, or there's like you have more autonomy in your schedule, and you can batch things, and there's a system that, that can happen there. And with coaching as well, right? You get to set the time where you meet with your clients. You just need time, client time, marketing time, and none of this is really dependent. It doesn't have to be a specific time or every single day or things like this. So
yeah. Yeah, that was another perk of moving into social media. Because I actually just shared a post about this on my Instagram the other day, and I had like people in my DMs asking, because for my summer schedule, I decided, like, I'm not going to have any scheduled daytime meetings. And people were like, how did you do that? And it is possible when you get to this point in business and you are setting, your own hours and being very intentional. But yeah, you're right. With the social media done for you side, I am able to batch a lot out ahead of time, especially once we've been working together for a while. A lot of my clients are just like, yep, go ahead. Like, they trust me, which is a great feeling, right? But yeah, you're right. Then with the coaching side of things, I can set my hours for that. And so it is really nice to be in a business at that point where you don't feel like you're chained to another 9 to 5. And
right.
A lot of my clients, my coaching clients, when they come to me, they're like, I left my 9 to 5 and now I'm working 24/7, right? I feel like that's like the joke in the entrepreneur space, but I'm like, it's not a joke. It's sad, right?
Right. And the important piece here is that you have your life and your business is supporting your life and not the other way around, right? You're not really organizing everything around your business and, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And this is a piece that a lot of people get lost along the way when they're doing this, so they're like, oh, I can do this and that, but they don't stop and take a moment to breathe, to reflect, to feel like, okay, what do I actually want? And what do I want my life to look like? Because this affects how you set up your offers. This affects just what you do in general, because if you are somebody who, and so I just had a coach, so as an example, I had a client recently who did a 4-week intensive intentional scaling with me, and she was a VA who was becoming an OBM and wanted to do some other type of offer. And so we're like, okay, what's happening in your life? What do you want your life to look like? What are your priorities? What's your dream life? And so she was choosing between helping with kind of being like this team building person, a strategist, specialist here, or launch strategist. And when we were talking about it as well, if you're a launch strategist, you have to be in it. Like you have to be there when the launch is happening. Team building is much more flexible. There's, things like this. And kind of like, well, what's the energetics? Like, why are you looking at this one versus that one? In the end, the team building obviously won out, and that was much more aligned and felt really good. And the launch was like, oh, I think like a lot of people would buy that. I'm good at it. Like I could do that. Like I think I would be interesting, but it wasn't her true passion. So all of this to point out that, yeah, it really is about what you want your life to look like and really bringing that into your business as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what you were saying there with how the one, maybe it could have brought in more income, but I kind of focus too, like not only for myself, but my clients as well. Like you can go out there and you can pick whatever you think is going to be the high paying role, but are you going to be happy? Like you said, is that what you're passionate about?
Yeah.
And then I firmly believe if you're not passionate about it, it's not going to be sustainable
At all.
You won't be successful in that.
Yeah.
So which is why, like, as a VA, like, yeah, I could do all those tasks really well. It was great money. But like, was I passionate about it? No. So it made sense to, niche into something I was a lot more passionate about.
Yeah. And I'm sure you are, since you're passionate about it, exactly, you're happier and your work is better, and you're not, because I've had that too. When I started as a VA, had a VA agency, and I had the agency because I just was getting all of these clients. And that's what the internet told me to do. It was like, this is the next step. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be a VA, like a general VA agency. And that wasn't my passion. That wasn't my dream. So I had to burn it to the ground. So I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Let me do something else now and pivot, but pivot because I wasn't in alignment. So all of these things are so important. And I'm really glad there's people like you out there and like me and us that, we're helping people to see these things so they don't have to go through the burning your business to the ground and starting again or quitting or, or feeling like you're in another 9 to 5, because that's not a happy feeling.
No.
The other thing that I wanted to jump into a bit more is your second pivot. So adding in the coaching. So this is a big thing, right? So you're like, oh, now I'm going to become an authority in a whole new space. So tell us, what was going on that led you into also adding coaching to your business?
So like we've been talking about, passion and alignment. So I was enjoying my done for you side. Obviously, I still have it, but I was missing that side because I was a teacher. I was missing that. And I am truly passionate about helping business owners. I was really craving like one-on-one. And so that, about a year ago this time, I added in just, tested the waters a little bit just to see, would anybody even be interested? Like, and of course I went through all those mindset, like, who am I to call myself a coach? But yeah, it took off right away. I was helping a lot of, solopreneurs who were just in the beginning stages of business, really just figure out their business foundations using social media. And I really enjoyed it. So I really started to discover that, I'm passionate about this too. So that's why I have both still. I can't tell you, like, I don't know, it might look different a year from now. Maybe I'll be completely coaching. I don't know. I'm just on this like fun business journey. I think I've really been trying in the last year to have more fun in business. Because when I was a general VA, that summer I was a VA, I can honestly tell you, sure, the money was fine. I was excited to like be home with my kids, but was I having fun? No, I can't say I was having fun. I wasn't in alignment, but right now where business is at, I'm enjoying it, in alignment. And I think that's really important. Like, so people who are listening, if they're, at this point and it's just to make money, well, you can go to a regular 9 to 5 and make money, So,
and it'll be a lot less stressful to do that most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so true though. I've worked with some of my clients with that. I'm like, okay, are you happy? Like, that's the number one question. Are we happy? Let's figure that out first.
Yeah. What you're saying, I'm totally on board with. And I'm sure a lot of people have gone through the same journey and then you realize that it's not the money. It's not the money that makes you happy, because if you're spending all day, like the worst year of my business was when I was making a lot of money, Like I was making all the 10K months and blah, blah, blah that everybody is so focused on. But no, I was working like crazy and it resulted in a really severe burnout after that. So it wasn't in alignment. And then the same thing, like this year, I really focused on balancing and enjoying myself and feeling like, okay, do I love what I'm doing? And, getting to be more creative on terms of and expanding my marketing, my messaging in terms of the coaching side, and like all of these cool things and just like growing. And to me, that's fun, like I enjoy all of those things. So yeah, you really need to focus on that and not just on like, okay, like I feel like it's almost like the first layer of business is, okay, can I grow a business? Like, am I a business owner? And then the second story, the second kind of wave is like, okay, I can do this. Now let me make it into what I want it to be, you know? So, yeah. What was wait, I had a question and then it left my brain. Yes. Oh, yes. You were saying, you kind of glossed over. Oh, yeah, of course there were mindset things that were going on. So I want to ask you to talk about that a little bit more because it's really helpful for people to hear that, this is normal. And like, let's normalize that everybody has these thoughts and these things. So what did you do to overcome these doubts and these fears and these imposter syndrome type things?
Yeah, so I am very like open book, very authentic because I do think working in social media, it is a highlight reel, and this is something. One of my biggest hurdles in business is the comparison. I think a lot of people maybe can resonate with that, where you just see other people. It just seems like they're always, they have another win, they sign a new client, they're finding all the success, they're hitting these high income months, and you're sitting there and you're like, wait, what's wrong with me? Maybe I'm not as good, this and that. And so, yeah, I'll be honest, that is one of my biggest, even still today, biggest hurdles to go through. And yes, that is a mindset thing. So it's so funny. I work with my one-on-one clients on this all the time, and I can tell them exactly, we can like coach through it, work through it. And then when it comes to myself, I'm like, okay, I got to coach myself here.
Right.
So
you're like, can I hire myself, please, to get me through this?
Yeah, exactly. One of the biggest things I have had to learn is it's okay to mute someone online. You may like them a lot as a person, but if they're really starting to affect, like if you can't even look at their feed posts or their stories without, going into a complete downward spiral, just mute them for a little bit, but you got to do some internal work on that too, because that shouldn't be, so that's one thing. I'm an advocate for the mute button. I don't like to say unfriend because unless like you really feel like you need to do that, that's neither here nor there. You can figure out if you want to do that or not. But also just getting to the place like, why is that making you so insecure? But also remembering, like I said, social media is a highlight reel. So not a lot of people are going to get on their, stories and be super vulnerable and share, how much they're struggling. So I do like to remind myself of that because I myself don't want to get into stories and be like, here's all my issues, right?
Right.
But it's human nature. We all go through struggles. Even, like I said, my Done For You side, I work with 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs, and you might look at them and think they have it all together. And working, one-on-one with them, I can tell you, no, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. Some of the most successful people in the world, they still have their day-to-day struggles. And I don't know why that brings me a comfort. Maybe it's just that we're all in this together. But that does help me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it helped me as well to see that, and also to see that a lot of people with these businesses, the back end of their business is a bit of a dumpster fire a lot of the times. So, and that, just seeing that like, they make all this money, but they struggle with, XYZ and yeah, seeing that like, yeah, they put this image, or a lot of them will put this image online, but then when you see the back end, you're like, okay. Like, and you're right. So when you see behind the curtain, it actually does help you to know like, everybody struggles with these things. Or like, for instance, one of my favorite stories is I had this client who was 7-figure plus business, did like sleep training or things like this, like, had a whole like agency, like this is what she did. She charged people a lot of money for it. She made tons of money, like good. She wanted to kind of move into the online space and kind of play around and experiment and do these like a Facebook, a virtual sleep training thing where she was charging a couple $100, like something so insignificant, quote unquote, compared to her regular job. And she had the biggest imposter syndrome of doing this. And was like, right? And was like, oh, do I know what I'm talking about? Am I good? Like, well, like you're not expert in this field. Like, what are you doing? So for me to see firsthand, that somebody who literally was an expert in this had the same thoughts, the same doubts as regular people do, like that made me feel. So I never forgot that, and I always, carried that with me. And like, okay, like, and then also it's understanding like what is imposter syndrome, what is, like what does it actually mean to have these thoughts, like what's going on and why do we have it? So knowing all of these things and having the tools, like helps you to get through it. But I love the mute button, and to not just be sitting there and following all these people that you watch them and then you feel bad about yourself. Like, no, like we don't need to do that. We don't need to stress ourselves out like that. So that's an amazing, amazing tip.
Yeah. Yeah. I also, with the social media side of things, I work with my clients on this, that if you are consuming more than you're like doing your own professional development or creating, then that might be a sign. Like that's also going to affect your mindset. I even can catch myself if I know there's certain days where I'm just starting to feel like really down, then I go back and I'm thinking, well, how much have I just been mindlessly scrolling? And it's pretty eye-opening.
I love that. Yeah, you as a social media strategist is like, no, I need to limit my social media consumption.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I was telling my husband this the other day, because he's like, you work in social media, how does that not like get you down? I'm like, who says it doesn't? I'm human too, but I think, yeah, if you're going to work in social media or have an online business and be in this space, even more so, you have to be aware, how much time you're scrolling, how much you're just consumed in stories. That's my biggest thing. I'll just like scroll through stories and I'm like, okay, I need to stop, go do something productive.
See, I know. And it's like, oh, I'm going on here for a purpose to do this. And then all of a sudden, 20 minutes you're by, like, oh crap, I didn't do the thing that I came to do. So yeah, I feel like you have to be really mindful when you're are working on social media, not to get sucked into it too much. Awesome. What is your top scaling tip, your top tip that you've just learned on this journey as you've been growing that you would like to share?
Okay, this might sound a little strange, but I was thinking about this when you asked me this before. So really figuring out what makes you unique or stand out as someone that that people want to work with. I like to ask it this way to my clients. Why would someone want to work with you or invest in your services? And if you can't answer that question confidently, then that's where we need to start. Because if you're not confident in yourself, that definitely spills over. And why would somebody invest with you then? You need to be able to answer that. You need to be able to answer confidently, like, here's what I can do. Here's the transformation. Here's why you need me. And if you can't answer those questions, then we got to start there.
Because you can feel the passion, right? You can feel the confidence and the passion. And this is what's magnetic. And yeah, 100%. Amazing. Beautiful tip. So is there anything else that you have that you're like, oh, we haven't covered this, I really want to jump in, or this reminded me of that?
Oh man, I feel like I could talk all day. This has been fun. No, I think, yeah, just the only thing since I mainly work with moms, I probably just because that's the season of life I'm in with littles, and I'm really passionate about helping moms, grow businesses online, and it can feel really overwhelming, but that's kind of what I do with my one-on-one clients is we look inside your business, and if there's any tasks that you're doing all the time and it's really not helping you grow, bringing in any new clients or income, then we get rid of that. And we just really are laser focused.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important to simplify and actually do and spend your time on the things that are going to grow your business and make you money and serve your clients better and all of these things. Yes. And people get so sidetracked, right? Like with all these other things that they're doing that they feel like, oh, I need to do this and that and this and that. Like that'll come with time, right? Like, or feel like what is actually in alignment, or what is it that you like, just really focusing on the things that are important. And yeah, and I can't even imagine with the moms that you work with and how relieved they must feel once they actually implement those things and all of a sudden they have all this space.
Well, too, it's like when you see online a lot of these like really successful business owners, and then you forget, oh, they've got a team behind them supporting them.
Yes.
And, a lot of my clients come to me, they don't have a team yet. So I'm like, you can't be on every single platform, honey. Like,
God.
let's
Yes,
laser focus right now.
And let's pull back the curtain on this because you and I work with these people. There are some of these people have teams, huge teams, or even if they're not huge, they're paying a lot of money for other people to be doing these things. They're not writing their emails and their Instagram, they're not doing all of the marketing pieces, a lot of them themselves, right? Other people are doing it for them. They're paying for ads. Like there's a lot of heavy lifting in the back end that people don't see. And they just think like, oh, they're out there and like they can show up all these places and do this and that. And no, they are not doing any of this themselves at all. And so, yeah. So don't get fooled.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so let us know, where can we find you? How can we stay in touch? If you have any free gifts, anything like this, the stage is yours.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So I am always on Instagram. I love hanging out in stories too. So my tag's Rebecca Elizabeth LLC. You can find me there. And then, like I said, I do have the done for you and one-on-one coaching side of things on my website. That's linked there in my bio. I also have some fun freebies. So I actually have a freebie that's launching tomorrow at the time of this recording for busy moms. So it's 50 easy B-roll shots, because I have a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, I don't have time to create content and this and that. And I'm like, you have some time for some easy B-roll. Are you doing your dishes? Are you ironing your clothes? Like all those things. So if you want to grab that.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be sharing all of that because moms and non-moms alike, we can all use some of these really creative ideas, right? Of how we can show up and how to make it not so time consuming and just be able to go out there. So thank you so much for sharing all of your magic with us today. And I look forward to having everybody download your freebie.
Yeah. Thank you so much.